What's up, y'all? It's me, Tasha C, and in this particular video I will be reviewing Being Mary Jane Season 2 Episode 1, the season premiere. You know, I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I almost didn't even catch it. I didn't even know. I've been looking, but I didn't know it was coming back, you know, last night. I thought it probably might come next month or something. But yeah, shout out to my YouTube fam, all my supporters, subscribers. If you're not subscribed, click that description button below and like and share this video. And let's get into it, because we all know Being Mary Jane, even though it's supposed to be comedy drama, is more so a drama that might season some comedy in there, and there's so much going on. We see that Mary Jane is still not over the fact that David rejected him. Based on what we see in the beginning of the scene, I'm not going in particular order, I'm going based by characters and stuff, that she must have just came back from giving him the sperm, whatever, back to him and moving on, supposedly, right? But that was last season, and apparently she still hasn't moved on. Now we see this fish that's in the small ass little fishbowl, custom made one. It looks like a little small model of this glass house that she has. Okay, and I'm surprised she probably, I know this is random, but a house like that, a person lives in a glass house, like, you know, a stalker might be staring you, but yeah. So she's talking to the fish, and something about, you know, Hector or something talking to you, I know your business. And how about you go so we can see some squirrels and stuff, right? So her way of seeing the squirrels is basically throwing the poor fish in the fishbowl through one of her big ass glass windows. And we see the poor fish like this, and she just, you know, because already when she came back, she's taking off bra, she still got, you know, the little 1T undershirt on and walking around with her drawers, and she's just talking, I think, to the fish. So she's just damn near, you know, I don't know, I thought she was going to have to go to the hospital, but she's just sitting on the bench or some type of seat that she had in a house like this. Then she gets the poor fish, throws him out the window, and then we see a scene 2 weeks later that she's having this dinner party, okay? She's probably drunk half the liquor that she's bought supposedly for her guest. I mean, wine rather, I think. But anyway, you could tell she was highly intoxicated. Now we see Val, that's Sally Richards, I forgot what her, Sally, the answer to the first name, Sally. The woman that kind of reminded me of Halle Berry, but she came around the same time Halle Berry first came out, whatever. And her husband, of course, you see the doctor, the gynecologist, you know, that kind of had a broke down the first season, and, you know, was in the last episode, you know, towards helping whether or not, you know, with the decision of her, you know, Mary Jane was trying to use the sperm. And who else? Of course, we got back. What is the girl's, her co-worker, also known as the producer. I don't know out of all people why I would forget her name. But yeah. So we got them there talking. And in the midst of things, it just seems to work as more symmetrical. And it really got intense, y'all. Just making sure, because they're having a conversation about upper class, social class, blacks giving up education, stuff like that. Some with Bill Cosby. You know, just kind of a scene that, unless you go word per word, it's just one of those conversations where you're talking about everything as far as like income, position, jobs, stuff like that. You know, the blacks have it hard when during this time and this and this. One of them type of conversations. And so her youngest brother, Junior, Paul Jr., I think, right, comes in and he's talking, and then it gets to the point where they're talking in the kitchen where Mary Jane, it gets to the point that she's basically let it happen, like, you know what, speaking, you know, an example about talking about people, and I guess like not hoping or not doing what they're supposed to be doing or some things, right? Now we see their older brother is now, what we found out later on, has 2 jobs. One of his jobs is basically like being security guard, I guess, or modern, you know, movie set trailers and stuff. So that's one of the things. And then, you know, I think, you know, Paul Jr. was kind of mad about, you know, like, you talking about certain folks or whatever. And then she's like, well, you're here, so I would have talked about you too, but you're here. But you still end up talking about, because after about 5 more sips of wine in between, she let him know, like, all you do is fuck milks all day, you whack out in your parents' house, you da-da-da, and he's just looking at her like, really, bitch? Really, bitch, you my sister, but really, bitch, type of look. And all her guests are just sitting like, oh my gosh. Because before it also, here she's also even around the same time talking about Val. That's her married friend or whatever, but they also know David. And she kind of even admits that she wanted to know, even though y'all David's friends anyway. She wants supposedly closure by inviting him to get more information about him, basically. That's the main reason. So she's sitting there and basically like I said, as you say, the comments. So the younger brother let it be known, like, well, this is why David didn't want you. This is why he left you for a white girl. And pretty much, and that pretty much is cleared there. And like I said, she was still talking some stuff. Next minute, her producer friend off the show, also, you know, didn't she finalize her divorce last season? Like I said, I think her name is Val. I'm sorry, y'all. Just but she helps her because she's gotten to the point, I think, when everybody had left, you know, she had to throw it. But like I said, she was coming at people sideways, okay? So, you know, due to liquor or, you know, the liquor courage. So, it's so bad off, y'all, when, she, you know, her friends, like, you know, it'll be 30 hours, I guess, when she goes back on air and, you know, go back to work. So, you know, basically sleep it off. And she goes, y'all, she's so messed up. Now, talk about pissy drunk. Because the next day, when she's hangover, because she wakes up, she sleeps on the couch. She goes, open the glass window, she has to throw, you know, throw up on the line. And then, as soon as, I guess, she goes to bed and wakes up, we see, they had to show a detail, look like a big-ass piss spot that she obviously pissing herself into sleep. And it must have been, you know, like I said, some people drunk, pissy drunk. And she just kind of was looking like, well, what the hell? But that's just probably how messed up that she got last night. So, to fast forward, one of the scenes is we seen her at work. Now, I don't think she told her producer, also known as one of her best friends, that she got pissy drunk or, you know, urinating herself last night. They're up here making suggestions about, I guess, who to talk to about future shows and blah, blah, blah. And, of course, even then, she's looking at stuff with David somehow. Somehow, I think she even turned the conversation, David, even to her, talking about she claims she wants closure. And she, again, had got some text or email. Like I said, she was trying to go online, I think, to a site that's supposed to be similar, okay, similar to Facebook. But when she tried to go, she's going on David's side, I think was open. But when she's trying to go to the girl's site, what's her name? Ava, whatever. She's up here, the her account is private. So she can't really see pictures or go into her open, you know, see anything open account. So she gets this text or something, and she meets up with Val at this clothing store. And she's saying she apologizes, but I wish I had your life. And she like, you know, even Mary Jane Langlois, and I see on Instagram, I want what you have. I want the filter, color filters, you know, the filter thing, and happy pictures. And Val was like, well, we don't post everything. Nothing is perfect. You don't want my life. Get your own. And on top of that, I didn't post the argument we had prior to coming to your house, okay? And so she, again, is asking about David and the closure. I don't know, that wasn't the title of this episode. It was something about, you know, don't throw glass or glass houses or something. It should have also been titled, Where's David? Or, you know, the closure and with David, you know. So she ends up asking again her about it. And Val's like, well, you know, something like, cause she's like, what was about it? Why did he choose her over me? Why he moved her in the house? He never moved the house when we were together. And, you know, Val was like, you know, the money thing was totally different. But she's like, still, he didn't suggest, you know what I mean? He didn't suggest us moving in together. And Val kind of maybe already knew about the fact that his new girl was pregnant. But she was like, in my place, I'm not going to say anything. Whistles and walks away. So I think she ends up leaving, and then Mary Jane with her separate way, right? And so we see later on again that she goes to Val's, this time Val's and her husband's house, Val's house, and she wants to talk to them again. And the husband's like, basically, I got time for this, because she's even asking in front of their two babies. I mean, they look like there was 7 or 6 years old, something like that. But she's even asking again about the closure. Okay, so he's like, okay, time for kids, time for bed. First he was telling them to go eat, finish their food. But as soon as Mary Jane started with her whole closure thing, okay, and if you noticed, her addiction that she had to the Mary cat last year that she was talking to, right? Now it's transferred to David. You know what I mean? Now this addiction to be like, why does he not want me and everything else? So now we don't know if the married dude's gonna come back, but we do know that now her addiction has turned into, that, because even what was interesting is she kind of, after with David, the beginning of the first season, I know I'm going off track, kind of was involved with him at all as far as just talking to him a little bit, but she was involved, like I said, damn it, to the last season finale last season with the married dude. But it's like it's switched now. It's to David. So now she's basically, the husband's like this. You know what? Do. Because even before then, I think before he called, I forgot to mention when she got to Val's and finally had got the truth. It was one scene because I wanted to add in about the Niecy part. Niecy, which I'll get into in a minute, had ended up, I don't know if she's permanently staying or just staying, for a second, to get away from her grandmom, also known as Mary Jane's mom. And when she's talking, after she goes to sleep, she lays down and has a little daughter on her, a 1-month-old child. And Mary Jane's holding the little girl, and she butt dials accidentally David. And David's even asking, Mary Jane's that you? And she able to butt him off again, hang up on him, and she just like this, and it's the twilight, twinkle twinkle, why did he choose her instead of me, blah blah blah. I mean, that's really what she's saying along them lines or whatever. He should have got with me instead of her. I know the baby, I mean, but yeah. But that was one of the scenes prior. And then she was trying to figure out and post up together. I think she was trying to look at another time, look at another site to see how it was doing. And because I think that's how she brought up David in the conversation about the closure and him with this travel site or something like that to Val and the husband. And the husband like, I'm sick of this, probably saying I'm sick of this crazy bitch is probably what he was thinking about. But like I said, excuse me, we see later on, fast forward, we also see another scene that she was looking at old text messages, I think, that maybe her and David had prior to finding out when he became serious with Ava. So, after that, we see, like, she later on talks to her producer friend, and they come up with the idea of, I think in between, that she should get her eggs frozen, and if she can get the network to pay for it, because Mary Jane's like, I will do it, but I ain't trying to spend no extra money that I ain't gotta spend. And so her friend is like, yeah, we go ahead and do that, okay? And so they didn't talk about it more the rest of the episode, but that's probably going to be brought up later on, because it was an idea the producer friend was saying about, she had seen, her couple of friends are doing, so, it's supposed to be interesting, episode. Just like, I think someone, I forgot what was the Day show who had did her mammogram, I guess, during the show or something like that, or, did like a documentary on the set, And so, after that, later on, we see Mary Jane, like I said, we'll fast forward back again to the scene. She's over Val's in the family's house, and the husband calls him because they want him to say it for herself, and he is like, here, hi, Mary Jane is here, she wanted to talk to you, she wanted closure, and here's the phone. And she first like this, like it's going to give her the plague, and she's trying to do like the Matrix and stuff to get away from the phone first, and then she said okay, she's like, hi David, how are you, and and that's when David finally let it be known that his girl is expecting a child. And as soon as she heard that, she basically gave the phone back, I think, to the husband, and just walks out and begins to cry. And I think he's, so we see in another scene that she's on her way home, and she sees Niecy there with her dad, and her dad is basically like trying to have her apologize, which I'll get that quick thing in a little bit about her. And so we see Mary Jane was like, I got time. She was in her car, I was hoping, and she reversed the hell back out that damn driveway. And she decides to get a suite for the night. She got, room service. She got this wine. She got this beautiful setup. And she's all alone by herself. And we noticed, we had to notice her taking a shower, everything else. But we noticed the way that when they showed David, I first thought that it was kind of like a dream sequence. And I thought like he, you know, like it looked at almost so real, but he really wasn't there. But it turns out, because they never showed her calling him or asking him to come up there. And it's basically like still the questions like, why me? And blah, blah, blah. Are you really with her because you love her or because of the baby? And David is trying, at least for what he said, you know, this child will be raised by two parents, not no separate. So it is to a certain point. He never said a yes or no exactly. But I do think partially it is, he is trying to stay for the sake of the kid type of thing. And see what goes from there. And, you know, like I said, you know, Mary Jane still asks questions about the relationship. It's kind of like the same thing as we seen last season about, you know, why her just having a conversation. And then interesting enough, when they're talking about what could have been, what should have been, and what's been in the past, all of a sudden it just seemed like David first is massaging her knees. And then somehow the right hand goes in between the knees. So pretty much he's finger popping her or massage or doing a very good massage. Still the same feel that we can somewhat see, because you know what am I calling Gabrielle? Mary Jane has nothing but I guess supposedly just that lovely fluffy white robe on, and you see the kiss back and forth, blah blah blah. So I'm thinking they you know, from going it's going to go further, which kind of that's already somewhat crossing the line. This is right there. But all of a sudden, after some more foreplay, but kissing back and forth, and he's still massaging, she kind of like, they just stopped. And Mary Jane realizing and said, like, you know, that should have been our baby. So instead, she ends up crying on the shoulder, and he kind of like, you know, lets her lean on his chest, and I guess he's just comforting her, and they just stop. And then she wakes up again on the couch. Well, that's Mary Jane. That's always said. Do you notice it's kind of like repeated? They always have her like somehow usually on the couch. I'm just noticing. But he leaves a little note saying he's sorry. And I don't think it was too much really after that scene. I don't think, including her. But just to go real quick. Okay, back to what we were talking about after the I'm sorry note. I had to charge the battery on the camera. So there's a little small part where we see Niecy. I could have sworn that Mary Jane's older brother also had another daughter that was the same age, you know, 1 year or something around Niecy, and she also had kids too. Or did they just kind of write her off the script? Or is it just me? But anyways, y'all, we see one scene where it looked like they're in one of the dens or some section of, you know, Mary Jane's parents' house. And Miss Helen, I think that's her name, comes in, you know, Mary Jane's mama, and letting her know, like, okay, well, who is this in my house? And who told you can come in my house? And I want to know why you're in my house, type of thing. And Niecy's letting her know, like, this is, you know, I guess her son's, you know, grandmother. She's like, well, I wouldn't think that. You haven't been coming over here and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And then she just thinking she's going to do, you know, talking about Niecy and everything. And then, you know, Niecy's like, girl, just go. So Helen being known, like, you know, you sitting here trying to control stuff in the house, blah, blah, what you gonna do, blah, blah, what you gonna get a job, how you gonna help put heat, blah, blah, blah. And because we know how she is about everything. Even Mary Jane kind of feels Niecy's pain later on about how her mama is. And, you know, it's also Niecy's grandmother. And she just basically like this, you know, you got two, you know, because Niecy was talking, you know, kind of slick there, like, you know what, whatever, which, you know, whatever, you can go on about your stuff. And she's letting her know, like, well, I'm trying to go to school. I'm waiting for nursing school in the fall. And the mom, like, Miss Helen's like this, like, well, is that why your young girls just have kids? You know, basically trying to sting like that's an excuse for laziness, that's why the young generations nowadays are popping out babies. So basically, you know, they can get a pass not to do shit. That's pretty much what the mom was on. And, you know, you got two different baby daddies, and when can you get your stuff out? Because she's saying she wish she could leave now. And when you get your stuff out, and I'm this and this and this, and these are just like, whatever. But she's done this before a couple times, but she sometimes has to take a breather and I guess leave the house. But it was somebody around the time when Mary Jane was looking at the past text messages where she was going with David, going with David and her were on good terms. And she gets a call talking about work in progress. Anyways, y'all. Hold on. Text messages. Anyway, so, back to what I was saying the last part. So Niecy ends up leaving and calling her auntie Mary Jane. But in the caller ID around that time, we don't know whether or not the work in progress was Mary Jane's mom or Niecy trying to call. But Niecy ends up calling her, her phone, home phone, and explaining basically, like, can you come get me? Mary Jane goes to go get her, and when she's basically explaining to her, like, like, I am trying to go to nursing school, whatever, but she's not really trying to go to nursing because that's really her passion. Like a lot of people, one time I thought about it, a lot of people go to nursing because of how much money you can get, even just being an LPN. And I mean, not everybody, but I just know some folks. It's keeping it real. And she's also like, she's on baby number 2, and even, but she's like, she was trying to ask, I guess, her grandmother for money to go to school, for it. But her grandma basically wants her to really go like to school, university associates, where it's a longer way in progress instead of some of these nursing school like programs. But like I said, it's really a person. If you expect her to be like a motivational speaker, it's gonna be like, if y'all remember Debbie Allen in the movie Fame or the series Fame, I Want to See Y'all Sweat. That's pretty much Helen, where she's about a hard worker, her husband's a hard worker to get where she at, and that's pretty much what she expects out of her kids and even her grandkids and even her great grandkids, in the future. So that's pretty much it. So they were talking about how she is and all this other stuff, and then Mary J did ask Niecy, how much was, the nursing school, like the nursing school program. And it kind of just switched over. And then we seen the part, like I said, when Niecy's dad also knows Mary J's older brother, I think Paul, not Paul Jr., but I could have sworn his name's Patrick or something, right? And he comes over to try to get Niecy to go tell, basically talk to his to her grandma and basically apologize for speaking out of terms. He's like, you ain't got nowhere to go. So that's enough right there for the reason why you should be apologizing. Real talk. Like, real talk. And that's when Mary Jane went to the suite, and we seen the last part with her and David, and kind of just ended by that. But anyway, y'all have a pleasant week, pleasant night, pleasant weekend, and I definitely see y'all in the next video. Alright, take care, y'all.